You're listening to the BowHunterPlanet podcast, your gateway to the wonderful world of archery.
Hey guys, welcome to the BowHunterPlanet podcast. I'm Dave Thomas here along with Randy from Wicked Ridge, and we are going to talk about the 2023 lineup that Wicked Ridge is putting out this year. Again, we look at launch weeks here for Wicked Ridge and 10 Point. Both brands are doing amazing stuff. So what we want to do today was cover what is coming out in 23 so you guys can hear it from them directly. So Randy, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for having us.
Awesome. Well, I guess, let's start with the question. What kind of, we know what Wicked Ridge already has, but like as far as Wicked Ridge goes, we know Made in America, which is a very important aspect to this. And what are the price points for Wicked Ridge? I guess what's the lowest to the highest?
We go from $449 to $1,099, depending on varying models and then cocking mechanisms and things like that. Several models we have two cocking mechanisms. So you might have the same model that has two prices. But yeah, $449 to $1,099, like you mentioned, made in the U.S. right here in Ohio. We're just a small family-owned business, and all we do is crossbows. We're not a conglomerate. We're not part of 18 different companies where crossbows are kind of a side gig. This is what we do and who we are.
I think it's important to state it, and I mentioned it to you guys in the beginning, was that Wicked Ridge is owned by 10 Point, and I wanted to state that on purpose because 10 Point has such a huge engineering power and capability and design. So a lot of the stuff you're seeing in Wicked Ridge is obviously from that family of technology and thought process and all that. So it's very important that people realize that, but also, like you said, made in America for this price point, which is absolutely incredible. So I guess without further ado, take us through what do you got for 23? This is exciting.
Well, do you want to start kind of the new models top to bottom, or you want to start bottom and work our way up?
Let's do top to bottom. Let's go big for the first one.
So top to bottom, we've got several different new models, but we had the Raider last year, and let me grab it real quick. We launched the Raider last year and it had a huge success, but we didn't ship it very well. There were some supply chain issues and things like that, and we just didn't produce the amount that we wanted to, or certainly not that the market was demanding. We got caught up towards the end of the year, but we know we missed a bunch of it. People they weren't able to find them at the stores like we would hoped. And as we got ready to go into 23, some of the input that we'd gotten from consumers and dealers throughout the course of 22, we went ahead and rolled into the 23 version. And basically what we did is we've got the upgrade on the optic. So last year it had a multi-line scope. This year it has a ProView. And so it lights up red or green as well as your multiple reticles, which for a lot of consumers is really a big deal. And it is very definitely a nice feature. The other thing that we did is last year we only had it with the AccuDraw decock on it. And this year we've added a model below it where it just has the rope sled. So you can get it with the AccuDraw decock, or you can get it with the rope sled and decock it that way. So we have two different models. With the rope sled, it's $749, and with the AccuDraw decock, it's $899. So we've doubled the number of SKUs there, and we've increased kind of the value of that with that ProView scope on it for sure. So people are going to be very, very pleased with those upgrades and changes for 23. I think out of an already very good bow that again, lowest price decocking bow on the market, made in the U.S. That package is going to give you bow, scope, quiver, and carbon arrows. So it's a complete package, nice setup, good speed, and again, decocking ability is becoming more and more important to the consumer as the crossbow models change. They get heavier poundages, things like that. They just want that decocking feature, and we've got now two models in the Raider that offers that, which is great.
And what's the speed of this one again?
The Raider is 400.
400 feet. Okay.
Yeah. And again,
so that's cool.
Last year, we've gone ahead and we've got on all the Wicked Ridge bows, we went to carbon arrows on all the models. Some of the models last year had aluminum arrows. And so we've converted all of them to have the carbon arrows this year. Again, just a little bit of a nice added value for the consumer.
Is that a 20-inch arrow?
That is correct. Yes. 400 grains, total arrow weight, 20 inches long. They've all got that 400 includes the 100 grain field tip that they all come with.
Got it. Okay, cool. So basically this bow is basically an upgrade. You guys upgraded a lot of things on it, especially the scope specifically to give
Yes.
it the better view. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Like I was telling Brian, my son shot his first buck last year with the Raider 400 decock. So
Mhm.
that was really exciting. So that's cool that this one's going to add in that little extra value there for people. I think that's important
Yeah,
too.
very definitely. Yeah. And I think it's important. Again, we're just a small family owned business, and we do the input that we get from the consumers and the dealers is part of what we do. We listen, we make changes, and some of those changes come from input from the consumers and dealers, and this was one of those.
Awesome. Very cool. All right. What's next? What we got on here?
Next model is going to be the Rampage. Let me set the
I like the name.
Raider down. So we had the Rampage last year, and it's been a very good model for us. But this is the new Rampage XS, and so it's got a new stock. It has the ProView scope on it as well. Has the retention brush, but we've got it with an AccuDraw, and then we also have it with the new adjustable butt plate on the non-AccuDraw version. So nice setup there. The rope sled version is going to be $549, and then the AccuDraw version will be $649. So really great values. Again, super lightweight. The Rampage 360 was light before, but this new stock design is even lighter, coming in right at 6 pounds. Super lightweight, very adjustable. Again, you were talking about your son using a bow. This will fit different members of the family, or certainly fit somebody as they, if your son's using it, as he grows and gets a little bit bigger, you can adjust that stock out, and it'll grow with him. So
that's cool. Yeah, I love that. I love that adjustability on the back. That's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
How does that affect the AccuDraw? Like, where does that go then on there? How does that work?
It's got a different butt plate on it.
Okay.
If it's got the AccuDraw on it, that is the version for the rope sled. It's not adjustable with the AccuDraw in it.
That makes sense. And how much is that one again?
With the adjustable butt stock is $549. With the AccuDraw at $649. So the butt stock will look like this.
Yep.
If it's got the AccuDraw on it.
That makes sense. That's why I was like, wait a minute, where's that go?
Right. You got to have some place to anchor the unit. Absolutely.
So it's got to go somewhere in there. That's cool. That looks great.
So we're expecting great things, and up to 390 feet a second there on the Rampage. So real, good speed, very lightweight. 2 different cocking options. Again, that bow's going to be an absolute home run.
Will the Rampage 360 still be in the lineup or no?
No, the 360 goes away. It's now moving to the XS.
Got it. Okay, cool. Very cool. And what was the axle of that one?
You're about 15. You're going to stump me on that.
Yeah, I was just looking because the Rampage 360 now is 15. That's why I was curious if it was they're the same size or a little different.
Yes, 15 inches cocked axle to axle.
Got it. Very cool. And then what's the camo it's shown there? That camo.
That's the Peak camo.
Peak. Is that a company or is that yours?
That's ours.
That is yours. Oh, okay, cool. I like that. It looks
good. It's that's our camo.
Yeah, it looks cool. So you guys have a couple camos then. I didn't realize
you
guys have a couple.
Yep.
I always thought it was just the one. I didn't realize there's two. I'm learning a lot today.
Yep. No, it's the camouflages have changed so much over the years, and I mean I've been here going on 20 years, and so I've seen a lot of them over that 20 years, and the ability to make camos now and have different applications and make sure that you have a camo that works on the item that you're building, as opposed to something that may look good on a soft good or a ground blind may look very different when it's on a crossbow or something like that. And so, making sure that you've got the ability to have the camo that works for your product is really important.
Yeah, very cool. It looks great. I'm really pumped. I think that's a perfect one. Again, the price points are awesome on these bows, and I again, the quality of them is so well done. It's that it's you can't really go wrong with these. So that's why it's important for people to realize that. And you guys also, I don't know if people might not realize this either, but if you sign up for the 10 Point Wicked Ridge newsletter, you guys send deals out sometimes as well that come through email for
Absolutely, we do.
as you're getting rid of the old stock of these bows that might go off the mark. They're still gonna have warranty. They're still gonna have all the great stuff. So there's some low cost options. Like I'm looking now, you have something for 320 on your website right now. I mean, there's so many options for people if they just pay attention to the community of 10 Point in Wicked Ridge for a lot of great deals.
Absolutely. I mean, we do have those deals, and we offer those sometimes. It depends on, kind of what's going on and that sort of thing. But certainly, hitting your local dealer is always a great option too, because they're gonna not only are they gonna have the product, but they're gonna have the knowledge, the ability to service the product as well. So, you can do your homework on our website, but certainly hit your local dealer, because they're the guys that are going to help you out in season with accessories and like I said, string cable changes when they need it, that sort of thing.
Now, as far as accessories go for this bow, for the Rampage, is it can the consumer use like one of your light and knocks with this? Is there any issue to
Absolutely.
that? Or
Oh, very definitely. All of our bows will take our Alpha Bright, or going into the new Alpha Blaze knock that we launched this year. The Alpha Blaze is actually going to be on more arrow models for 23. But yeah, it'll certainly, any of our bows will take those knocks. We've got a string dampening system that you could add on to the any of these new bows that I'm talking about, whether it's the Rampage, whether it's the Raider, or we haven't talked about yet, but the Blackhawk, the Invader as well. We've got a string dampening system that actually mounts right in those holes on the riser and bumps up against the bowstring. So it's really easy to install. It's pretty minimal from a weight standpoint, and makes a big difference in decreasing the noise and kind of shortening the noise footprint. So you're making less noise for a shorter period of time than if you don't have it on there. And it's a great value. Actually helps the string life a little bit, because when you shoot that string, it actually oscillates about 13 times before it comes to a rest. You can't really see it, but it oscillates before it comes to a stop. And every time it's doing that, there is some friction and some wear on that bowstring. So you can hit those bumpers and stop after about 3 oscillations as opposed to 13, makes a big difference.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and if you haven't seen this, check out in slow motion on YouTube or something. But yeah, the string just goes
crazy. You watch.
I'm like, you can't see it with the human eye though. That's the crazy part. It's
you
just
wonder
like so
how the
fast.
bows even hold together. Yeah, it's crazy when you look at those sorts of things. So, but yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of accessories. We've got the ambush, the Wicked Ridge ambush case that these fit in really well. Nice. That's got it's a backpack. It's got some pockets for your quiver and your gear and all that. So we have a lot of different accessories that will work with both the 10 Point and the Wicked Ridge models.
Speaking of that, what's going to come with this bow if I buy it? Like, what comes with the package?
Just like the Raider, you're going to get the bow, scope, quiver, and 3 carbon arrows. Perfect. So it's a complete package.
I love accessories. That's why I was bringing it up, because to me, I'd buy the bow and then I'd want to go get the accessories because I think it's fun. And plus, on top of it, like I said, whatever I can add to it that would be fun or make it better. I mean, why not? Right. I mean, that's the point. It's
Absolutely.
just so exciting, especially getting extra arrows, right? You might as well go in and grab extra arrows right off the bat, so you have them.
Well, and the lighted arrows are so nice. Like, again, the new Alpha Blaze knock that we rolled out in 22, that you're going to see on more models this year of the arrows. Arrows are expensive, broadheads are expensive, and if you can help find your arrow, that does a couple things. One is you find your investment, right? That's the starting point. But 2 is it's typically going to let you see where the arrow, where your impact is. You then, when you find it, as well as I do, you're sitting at a tree stand, you shoot a deer, you wait 15, 20, 30 minutes, the light changes, it's getting dark, you get down, your perspective changes. If you can find that arrow, that gives you a good starting point. 1, you can see the arrow and see kind of where you hit it, how you hit it. 2 is it's going to let you, give a good starting point of finding a blood trail, which is hugely important in the recovery process. So, they're really a great tool, to have. Plus, they're
Oh,
just
for sure.
cool to
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah, I would tell people, like, from my experience with crossbows in general, a non-lighted knock is so hard to see the arrow. They're so fast. Crossbows are so
Yeah,
powerful, and when it goes, to see where you hit the deer is very slim to none. And on top of it, finding the bolt or arrow, whatever you want to call it, is slim to
yeah,
none. It
very
literally will
definitely.
bury. I mean, it's so fast, so powerful. They clean right through a deer, and then they're gone. I mean, we just had a guy just do it the other day. We were hunting. He shot a deer and he didn't have a lighted knock, couldn't find the bolt, couldn't find,
Hmm.
blood at first. Cause we was like, where'd you hit it? Don't know. And then, like you said,
Yeah,
once time goes by a little bit, all of a sudden you go out there, everything looks different. And you're like, oh, wait a minute, that was I sitting here or did I shoot here? You don't even
yeah,
know half the time.
very definitely. Well, and I mean, too, that if that arrow runs through a deer, it's probably not coming out the exact same direction that it
Correct.
started
Yeah.
on too. It's gonna come off at an angle a little bit one way or the other, typically, as it goes through that deer. So it might shift one way or the other.
Plus
As
the
that,
cost of losing the bolt or the arrow,
well,
whatever. I
yeah,
mean,
that's the big thing is arrows
that
just
adds
have,
up
over the
fast.
last several years, carbon shortages and arrow shortages and all that with what's going
Yeah.
on in the world has been, run the prices of arrows up quite a bit.
Yeah. All right. So what's next? What we got?
The Blackhawk.
Ooh.
And this is our entry level Wicked Ridge model. Let me slide the Rampage out of the way here. So the Blackhawk was in the lineup last year, but it didn't have it only came with a rope cocker. And so that was okay. But what we decided to do this year is go ahead and put the AccuDraw 50 and the AccuDraw onto the Blackhawk, which makes, most people need help cocking a crossbow.
Yeah.
And you can
Yeah.
use a rope cocker, but the AccuDraw 50 or the AccuDraw just adds so much ease of use for the user. It's just crazy. And so we've added that. You're at $449 with the AccuDraw 50 or $549 with the AccuDraw. So huge added value there to the consumer. Has the multi-line scope. Again, you're going to get quiver, 3 arrows, 3 carbon arrows with this package as well. Super value. I know we talked about made in the U.S., but every other model right now that's in any of those price ranges is coming from over the pond.
Yeah.
And we're building these bows right here in Mogador, Ohio. We've got about 100 employees. So that's huge, both from
Yeah.
a
Heck yeah.
from a production and a manufacturing standpoint, but for the consumer, being able to reach out to a company that's actually here in the United States, where the products are designed, developed, and then finally put together, and all that is, we know crossbows, and everybody that is here knows our product. Everybody that works in the offices, even most likely they've been out in the factory on some shifts putting bows together when we need to ramp up production, things like that. So the Blackhawk is just another one of those examples of low price point but made here in the US. And that's a huge value. We have to, as a country, we've got to take care of each other, and that's a good way to start.
This Blackhawk, is this the same? Is it the same specs as the 360 now? Just with the
It's actually going
additional
to go a little bit faster this year. It's going to be about 380.
380.
So
Okay.
it is going to get a little bit of a performance increase. And then again, the cocking mechanisms as well. Absolutely the lowest priced bows out there with built-in cocking mechanisms, far and
Yeah.
away.
I will say the story that's interesting. People might not know this, but like, so, we do a lot of testing on our shows, and like we test a lot of crossbows over the years. And one time I had cocked a crossbow. It wasn't your brand, it was a different brand, but either way, it doesn't matter. I cocked a crossbow and I pulled my sciatic nerve in my back. And when I cocked it, I didn't notice it at that exact moment. But when my back went out, I went to the doctor. I was in the doctor for months for this. And he told me, he's like, you must have stepped forward and pulled up with a lot of weight. I'm like, oh, wow, it's like cocking a crossbow maybe. And then it dawned
Yeah.
on me that's what it was from. And so I'll never cock a crossbow again, but manually. It's just my personal thing. I'll never do it. Even when if we ever test bows that don't have a cocker, I don't do it. Like, I'm like, you have to, I ain't cocking it, I'm done, because I'll never have that issue again. So for me, my point being that I would spend any amount of money for that device in any of your crossbows, because to me,
Oh yeah.
it's a godsend. It's literally one of the best things ever developed by crossbow companies, is that concept, to have that, because
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
one
want to go
thing
through
to
that
be
pain ever again.
yeah, it's one thing to be indestructible in your 20s, but yeah, I'm in my work smarter, not harder phase of my life. So
Yeah.
absolutely, cocking mechanisms
Take my
are
money.
the way to go.
Take my money. Yeah, no, definitely don't want to have that issue again. So will the name, what is the name, just the Blackhawk this year then, or is it the
It's the
3
Blackhawk XT.
XT? Okay, great.
Yes.
Perfect.
So yeah, but again, you got a little bit extra speed, and the cocking mechanism is built in. That was one of the bows that had aluminum arrows last year. It went to carbon this year. So it's just little things that we've done. Even and you're going to see some stuff in our models that really didn't change from 22 to 23. We've added some things, not necessarily enough to make them new, but just again that input from consumers and things like that, where where we engineer a little bit better and learn a little bit, and say, hey, yeah, we're going to go ahead and do this, whether it's carbon arrows or different quiver bracket, or just a variety of things like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's like I said, I always felt, having that price point is so important to the industry, because again, people got to be able to afford to buy these things. But you guys have done a great job of this, and keeping the ability for people to get into it when they want. It's really important.
Well, and crossbows they're obviously becoming more and more mainstream almost all the way across the country now, but they're like you mentioned, with your going out and hunting with your kid, they're a great way to get kids started. For kids hunting, crossbows and ground blinds are just phenomenal. You can put them in a ground blind. You can get the crossbow sighted in, and get them shooting a little bit, but then get them in the ground blind. They can wiggle around, they can take a nap if they need to. They can stay warm, they can stay dry, but you're getting them hooked. Then when a deer shows up, grab the crossbow, get them dialed in, and off they go. And then the other thing that the crossbows do, if you look at kind of hunting demographics, we're getting older and older, and the crossbow is keeping bow hunters out there much longer. And that's huge. We've certainly seen a little bit of hunting resurgence during this whole COVID chaos, but the crossbow is a piece of that helps those hunters stay out longer. And it's not just necessarily an age and a physical standpoint, but you hit about 40, and you're at physically you're still in pretty good shape, but you're the busiest point in your life from a work standpoint. Your kids are now, you're going to dance recitals and baseball games and football games and all those things, and you don't necessarily have time to get out and shoot your compound bow like you wanted to when you were 30 and didn't have anything really going on that was tying down your time. Now you can sight your crossbow in July or August. Then when you get that awesome one day in the weekend in October when you can go out and hunt, you can grab that crossbow and go. And so it keeps people hunting, compared to if they really just had to set the compound bow down for 5-10 years. It's going to be really tough for them to get back into that. Whereas with a crossbow, they can, it just takes a little bit less time. And then when you do have that window to go hunt, you can grab it and go, and you can share it with your son. You can share it with your daughter. You can share it with your wife or girlfriend, and you can all get out and go, and hunting can be a family thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. I was gonna say, I love my compound bow, of course, but when I look at, getting kids involved and stuff, there's no better device than the crossbow. I mean, you can't take a kid hunting with a kid bow. It doesn't have enough power. It can't. So like the ability to get kids involved in hunting early on is solely to the crossbow companies. I mean, it's the only way. It's one thing to get them to shoot a bow. That's cool. It's fun, but they can't go actually harvest an animal because it's not nearly enough power. So this has
Yeah.
been a blessing. I mean, my son killed his first year at 7. Right. I'm just saying, like, that never would have happened, you know. And even today, that deer he just killed at 13, he can't pull 50 pounds, you know.
Right.
So he would have never been able to go out and harvest that animal and be excited about hunting. And so it's really important, and vice versa. So to kind of go through the whole thing, so you have the early entry level, you have the late level, like you were talking about. As people retire, they don't want to pull a bow back. That's fine, but there's still the middle that is still there. So I'll give you an example. Every one of us, every one of me and my friends have a compound bow and a crossbow.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we do both. We actually, if
Absolutely.
it's a rainy day or it's crappy out, we're like, I'm just gonna take the crossbow. Or, you know, if I'm just not feeling like a compound at that moment, I'm like, you know, the spot's too, like my buddy Jamie, he was in a spot and he was in this, it's like a tunnel of trees. He's in this ladder stand, and the deer would come out looking right at him. Like they literally just come like this, they come straight out. And he had his compound the first day. He's like, this ain't gonna work. I can't move. You know, I can't, there's no way I'm gonna get a draw on this deer. So
Right.
then
Yeah,
he started doing crossbow.
sure.
And now he's good. Crossbow, he's set up, ready to go. And as soon as they turn left or right, he's got a shot. And now, you know, so there's different ways to use these, different reasons to use them for all hunters. And I always recommend to every hunter to have a crossbow and a bow. So, I mean, if you're a compound guy, there's nothing wrong with having a crossbow as your backup, and, or like you said, something you can take your children out or someone else out that doesn't normally hunt and have a chance to hunt with you. Cause you can't share your compound. It doesn't work that way. It's not that fast of a change.
But yeah, like you said, you know, most guys, most archery hunters in Ohio do have both, and there's a huge mix. But like you said, it depends on weather, it depends on where you're going, it may depend on who you're going with. You know, if you're going with several guys that shoot crossbows, you're probably going to take your crossbow. You know, but you have a really cold day like we had this past weekend where you need, you know, heavier gloves, things like that. Compound is a challenge. Grab the crossbow and go that route.
True that.
You get a nice 45, 50 degree morning, pull out the compound and use that.
And I think that people, you know, personally, this is just a personal opinion, but I think people want to act like a crossbow is like a gun, and it's not. I want to be very clear on that. It's not even close. And people want, it's this, that. But here's the thing. If the crossbow is going to get more people into the sport of hunting, it is very, very important. And I feel like a lot of people miss that part of it when they think of a crossbow, because a lot of people, you know, compound bow guys who don't shoot crossbow are like, oh, it's infringing. You know, these guys come out and hunt that are gun hunters. Now they're hunting this. But the thing is it's not about that. It's about community. It's about getting more people into the sport. It's about getting more people into those woods. It's not about selfishness and like, oh, I'm, you know, it's my spot, blah, blah, blah. You know, to me, this is a huge piece of the pie. So when people bash crossbows or talk bad about crossbows, I'm right in there. You know, I'm like, dude, no, you don't understand. Like, this is so critical to our establishment, a heritage of hunting. It's not even funny. Like, it is that important. If you don't have a crossbow, over time, archery is going to be done. People will slowly fade. It's already fading. We're doing things on purpose at our network here, trying to promote bow hunting in general, just to keep it alive, like trying to make it exciting to people. And without crossbows, that would be even harder, because you can't even get them. A lot of times people are buying crossbows and saying, you know, I might want to try archery bow. I might want to try a compound now that I'm doing crossbow. So it goes both ways, you know, if it affects everybody.
Yeah. Well, and I worked at a sporting goods store in a previous life, and, you know, you're absolutely right, is that, and the bow hunters that are against crossbows don't talk about it, but there's a whole bunch of people that get in, they go from gun hunting to crossbows, and then they want that next challenge and they go to a compound bow. Correct, and that's absolutely. But, you know, like you were talking about your son, if he didn't shoot his first deer with a crossbow at 7, and at 13, if he can't start bow hunting until he's, depending on, you know, age and physical ability, 15, 16, 17 years old, now he's busy with school. He may be busy with sports. He's probably got a job. He's, you know, certainly probably doing video games. You know, if you don't get him early, you're not going to get him. And the crossbow lets you do that. And at some point, he's going to pick up a compound bow probably and go do that as well, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's a huge win,
you know, and not to beat a dead horse, but we just want people out hunting. We don't care what weapon you use, obviously, as long as it's legal. But,
I agree.
You know, go gun hunt, go, you know, pull out your compound, pull out your crossbow, do it all, because at the end of the day, like you said, we're one big community, and we have to support each other. It's not a competitive sport between us and any other hunter. It's between us and the animal. And so as long as you're shooting it with with a legal method, I don't care what you shoot it with.
Yeah.
Good for you if you shot
I
anything.
don't care less what people use. I don't care what you do. You bought the tag legally. It's all I care about.
Absolutely.
I don't care how you harvest your game. But either way, like I said, the advantages are there. People just have to realize it sometimes. And I think that they get kind of blocked. They don't think of it through like fully, like why it's important for an industry or why it can't be about me. It's got to be about the overall, like what is it that's going to help the heritage of archery. And the only thing, these are very important. And these, let's be honest, crossbows have been around for a very, very, very long time. Medieval times. These things go back so far. It's not even funny. And they're in Game of Thrones, for God's sakes. They used it for the dragon up at the top. It was unbelievable.
Right.
But anyway, all right.
Let's not forget Walking Dead too, right?
Yeah, Walking Dead. Absolutely. It was huge. So Randy, anything else we need to cover as far as the launch stuff?
No, I mean, I think we covered it all, and we're excited. Like I said, these bows are already established. They've been good models. Consumers have liked them, but what we've done, I think, is just going to take them to the next level, really without going anywhere in the pricing standpoint. Awesome. So lots of new features, lots of new benefits. Still going to let people get into these bows at great starting prices, and like we mentioned, made in the USA, right here in a family-owned small town business.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Randy, for joining everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the launch week here for Wicked Ridge. You can go to 10pointcrossbows.com to get to all the Wicked Ridge bows. They have a ton of stuff on there, of course, and you can learn about the technology and everything else they have going. And again, get your local dealer, test them out yourself. That's one of the biggest and important parts of this, is just getting a feel for which one you like, figure out your budget. And then from there, figure out which one you like best. And help support, 10 Point and Wicked Ridge, built in America. I mean, you can't go wrong here. This is really important. And it, like we said, it goes a long way to the heritage of archery. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on the BowHunterPlanet podcast. Thanks, Randy. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Good luck in the woods.
Hey everyone, Tim here from the BowHunterPlanet podcast. I just wanted to thank everybody for a great season 6 here on the BowHunterPlanet podcast. It's been an amazing year for us. Right now, we're working on season 7 for everybody, launching later in the year. But in the meantime, take a look at some of our favorite and most popular podcasts.